There's a kind of exhaustion that sleep cannot fix. It's the deep fatigue that arises when you realize you're living a life that isn't yours, playing a role you never consciously chose. Maybe you feel it now. That sense of wearing clothes that don't fit, speaking words that aren't yours, smiling smiles that never came from your heart. It's as if you're carrying an invisible weight, the weight of being someone you're not. This sensation has a specific quality. It's not the physical tiredness of a weary body, nor even the mental burnout from overwork. It's something more subtle and at the same time more devastating. It's the soul's exhaustion from twisting itself daily to fit molds never made for it. You know this fatigue. It's the one that hits at the end of the day when you realize you spent hours without being genuinely yourself. It's the sense of having wasted precious energy sustaining performances no one really asked for, but you believed were necessary to survive in this world. Rick Rubin, the legendary music producer who helped transform the lives of artists like Johnny Cash, Adele, and the Red Hot Chili Peppers, often says that true creativity doesn't come from the effort to be something different, but from the courage to stop being what you're not. It's a radical invitation. What if instead of trying to fit in, you simply stopped contorting yourself? Rubin has spent decades observing how the most authentic artists are not those who master complex techniques, but those who access and express their deepest truth. He discovered that genius doesn't lie in being extraordinary. It lies in being profoundly yourself. This isn't a space for quick fixes or ready-made formulas. It's an invitation to feel, to pause, to find the relief that comes from recognizing that you don't have to perform anymore. It's a sanctuary where you can finally take off the masks and breathe with your own lungs. In the reflections that follow, we'll explore this delicate and essential territory together. We'll look at the weight we carry, the silence that reveals us, the courage that frees us. There is no rush here, no goals to reach, just an invitation to be genuinely yourself, perhaps for the first time in a long while. Have you ever stopped to feel how many versions of yourself you carry in a single day? There's the professional version, who speaks a certain way, smiles at the right time, never shows vulnerability. This version learned to modulate its voice, control facial expressions, and hide any sign of doubt or fragility. It knows the right words for each situation, the proper gestures, the tone of voice that inspires confidence. Then there's the family version, playing roles that were defined long before you discovered who you really are. Maybe you're the responsible son, the daughter who always solves problems, the sibling who never shows their own needs. These roles crystallized over the years, becoming so automatic that you forgot they were once choices. And there's the social version, adapting to each group, each expectation, each environment. With some friends, you're extroverted, with others, contemplative. In certain settings, you're the joker, in others, the wise advisor. Every context demands a different performance, and you've become a master at reading the room and adjusting accordingly. Each of these masks has its own specific weight. Some are light, almost imperceptible, small adjustments we naturally make throughout the day. Others are heavy, dense with expectations and responsibilities we've never questioned. And some are so old that they've fused with our identity, becoming what we believe ourselves to be. But at the end of the day, when you're finally alone, a question echoes in the silence. Who am I when I'm not being anyone in particular? And sometimes, the answer is a frightening emptiness. Sometimes you realize you've spent so long performing that you've forgotten how it feels to simply be. The exhaustion you feel isn't laziness. It's not a lack of motivation or an inability to deal with life. It's the fatigue of maintaining multiple simultaneous performances. It's your nervous system begging you to stop, to breathe, to find a moment of pure honesty. Rick Rubin notes that the most powerful artists are those who forget completely how they should sound. They're not trying to impress or fit in. They're simply being. And there's a magnetic quality to this authenticity that no technique can replicate. Think of someone you know who has that quality. They're probably not the most attractive, intelligent, or successful person, but something about them draws you in, calms you, inspires trust. They're not trying to be special. They're simply genuine. And that genuineness creates a field around them where others feel safe to be authentic too. Now think for a moment. When was the last time you felt completely yourself? Not the improved version, not the one trying to please others, but just you. Raw, true, unedited. Maybe it was in a spontaneous laugh, a deep conversation with a dear friend, or perhaps in a moment of solitude when you allowed yourself to feel exactly what you were feeling. That memory exists, and it's a lighthouse pointing you home. It's proof that you know how to be authentic, even if you've temporarily forgotten the way. There's a reason silence frightens us so much. In silence, the masks don't work. In silence, you come face to face with who you really are. And that can be uncomfortable for someone who's spent years avoiding that encounter. We live in a culture terrified of silence. There's background music in elevators, endless talk on the radio, constant phone notifications. It's as if society conspires to keep us distracted from ourselves. And maybe that's exactly what's happening. Maybe we collectively fear meeting our own presence. But silence is also where you discover that you don't need to be extraordinary to be valuable. You don't need to be perfect to be loved. You don't need to be different from who you are to deserve to be here. In silence, you find a radical acceptance of your own existence. Rick Rubin built his career by creating spaces of silence where artists could find themselves again. His studio in Malibu isn't a temple of technology, but a sanctuary of stillness. He doesn't teach techniques. He removes the layers that block authentic expression from emerging. Clarity doesn't come from effort, he often says. It comes from silence. And that clarity isn't intellectual. It's a clarity of being, a direct perception of who you are when you stop trying to be someone else. Rubin shares how many artists arrive at his studio with minds full of ideas about how their music should sound. They bring references, comparisons, expectations. His first task is to help them forget all of that and simply listen to what wants to emerge from the silence. When you stop talking, doing, performing, what remains? At first, it may feel empty. It may even be uncomfortable. You might feel anxious, restless, eager to distract yourself. These are withdrawal symptoms from a life spent avoiding the self. But if you can stay in the silence for just a few moments, gradually something more subtle arises. A presence that needs no justification, an essence that needs no approval. It's you before you learn to hide. You before you decided you had to be different to be accepted. That presence has a unique quality. It's not dramatic or spectacular. It's simply real. Like the difference between a synthetic diamond and a natural one. The synthetic may be more perfect, but the natural has an authenticity that can't be replicated. In silence, you also realize you don't have to understand everything about yourself. You don't need all the answers, or to resolve every contradiction, or explain your complexity. You can simply be a living mystery, a walking question, a work in constant creation. I invite you to pause now. Literally. Stop trying to analyze these words, and just feel what's here. The air entering and leaving your lungs. The weight of your body in space, the room's temperature, the sounds around you, the sensation of being alive without needing to prove anything to anyone. In this moment, you're not performing. You're not trying to impress, please, or fit in. You're just being. And there's a deep relief in that, isn't there? Like an invisible weight lifting from your shoulders, like finally breathing with your own lungs. That relief is your true nature asking to be acknowledged. It's the part of you that never forgot what it means to be authentic, even when your mind got lost in performances and representations. Perhaps the greatest act of courage you can take is to consciously disappoint the expectations others have of you. That doesn't mean being cruel, irresponsible, or indifferent to others' needs. It means stopping the self-sacrifice on the altar of approval. This is one of the most liberating and terrifying discoveries of adult life. You have the right to disappoint people. You have the right not to be who they need you to be. You have the right to be imperfectly human. From a young age, we learn that our safety and worth depend on pleasing others. Parents, teachers, friends, romantic partners, all have expectations about who we should be, and we internalize those expectations as absolute truths. But there comes a moment when you realize it's impossible to please everyone. More than that, It's impossible to truly please anyone consistently when you're not being genuinely yourself. People can feel when you're performing, even unconsciously. There's an artificial quality in your interactions that creates a subtle but perceptible distance. Rick Rubin recounts how many artists arrive with fixed ideas about how their music should sound, based on what's trending, what fans expect, or what fits their genre. His first task? Help them forget all of it. You are not your fear, he often reminds them. You are the space where fear appears. That distinction is vital. You are not the fear of disappointing, of not being loved, of not fitting in. You are the awareness, watching those fears arise and fade. When you stop trying to please, something surprising happens. People feel more comfortable around you. There's something contagious about authenticity. It gives others permission to be genuine too. Your courage to be imperfect creates a space where others can lower their own masks. Think about the people who impacted you most in life. They probably weren't the ones trying to be perfect, but those who were deeply themselves, with their flaws, quirks, and contradictions. There's a magnetic quality to genuineness that no artificial perfection can match. But let's be honest, disappointing. Expectations is scary. There's a part of us that clings to the safety of approval, even when that approval is based on a false version of ourselves. There's a part that prefers the familiar prison of performing to the uncertain freedom of authenticity. The fear of disappointing runs deep. Sometimes it's linked to abandonment, to past rejections, to memories of moments when our authenticity wasn't welcomed. These fears are real and deserve compassion, not judgment. But you also have the right to question those memories. Was the rejection you experienced really because of who you are? Or because of how you expressed yourself at a particular time? Were the people who couldn't accept your truth truly meant to be in your life? You have the right to be a mystery, even to yourself. You have the right to change your mind, to grow, to evolve. You have the right not to have all the answers, to make mistakes, to learn through experience. You have the right to be beautifully inconsistent. The question is not, how can I be better for others? The real question is, how can I be truer to myself? And the answer doesn't come from the mind. It comes from deep listening, from loving attention to what's truly happening inside you. Some people will be disappointed when you stop being who they need you to be. And that may become one of the most freeing experiences of your life. Because you'll realize you can survive disapproval. You can survive not being what others expected. You can survive being simply, truly, unapologetically yourself. There is a moment of grace that arises when you finally stop trying to be someone. It's like taking off tight shoes after a long day, a relief you didn't even know you needed. In that moment, you discover that your existence doesn't need a justification. You don't have to be productive, inspiring, useful, or special to deserve to be here. You are already enough simply by existing. This is a revolutionary realization in a culture that measures human worth by performance, productivity, and the ability to stand out. We are constantly bombarded with messages that we need to be more successful, more attractive, more intelligent, more charismatic. But what if you were already enough exactly as you are? Rick Rubin calls this returning to the natural state. Just like a tree doesn't try to be a better tree, it simply grows according to its nature. You can stop trying to be an improved version of yourself and simply unfold from your center. Look at a tree for a few moments. It's not trying to impress the other trees. It's not trying to grow differently to please onlookers. It is simply being a tree, expressing its treeness naturally and effortlessly. You also have a natural essence, a specific way of being that is uniquely yours and needs no improvement or adjustment to be valid. That essence isn't something you have to create or earn. It's something you have to discover and express. This isn't an invitation to complacency or stagnation. It's an invitation to discover what kind of growth happens when you're not forcing, not twisting yourself, not trying to impress. It's organic growth, like a plant that naturally turns toward the light. Think of a child playing alone. She's not trying to be creative, she simply is. She's not trying to be authentic, she just is. There's a quality of total presence in that way of existing that most of us lost somewhere along the way. That child isn't worried about what others will think of her game. She's not trying to impress or compete. She's completely immersed in the present moment, in total harmony with what she's doing. There's a quality of flow, of natural fluidity, that requires no effort. But that quality hasn't disappeared. It's here now, waiting to be rediscovered. It's in the way you breathe when you're not paying attention. It's in your gaze when you're lost in thought. It's in your laughter when something genuinely amuses you. Have you ever had moments when you completely forgot yourself? Maybe while watching a sunset, or in a deep conversation with a friend, or lost in something you love. In those moments, you weren't trying to be anyone. You were just being. These are glimpses of your natural state, reminders of what it's like to exist without the constant need to justify, to improve, to prove. Invitations to realize you can live more often in that state of simplicity and authenticity. The relief of simply existing has a unique quality. It's not the euphoria of achievement or the pleasure of reward. It's something more subtle and profound. The peace of not needing to be different from who you are. The tranquility of knowing you belong here, just as you are. There's a breath that happens when you stop trying to be someone, literally. Your breathing deepens, becomes more natural. Your shoulders relax. Your jaw softens. Your heart beats at a calmer rhythm. Your whole body knows when you've stopped performing. You don't need to search for who you are. You need to stop trying to be who you're not. The difference is subtle but revolutionary. It's the difference between adding layers and removing them, between becoming more complex and becoming more simple. When you finally stop performing, something extraordinary happens. You discover that you have genuine things to express. Not borrowed ideas, not thoughts you think you should have, but creative impulses born from your unique experience of being alive. Authentic creativity isn't about having brilliant ideas or producing works of art. It's about allowing your unique essence to manifest through whatever you do. It's the difference between imitation and expression, between reproduction and creation. Rick Rubin observes that true creativity isn't about having ideas. It's about becoming a clear channel for something more truthful to reveal itself through you. Creating is not doing, he says. It's allowing something more true to be revealed. This is a radical perspective in a culture that treats creativity like a commodity, something to be produced, sold, and consumed. Rubin suggests creativity is more like a natural phenomenon, like rain or the growth of plants. It's not something you force, it's something you allow. When you are being truly yourself, your creativity takes on a different quality. It's not trying to impress or compete. It's not following formulas or recreating past successes. It's simply expressing what is true for you in this moment. That could mean writing words that have never been written before. It could mean cooking a meal with love and intention. It could mean how you listen to someone who is suffering. It could be how you walk down the street when no one is watching. Creativity isn't just about traditional art. It's any authentic expression of your unique essence. It's what happens when you stop trying to be someone else and start being deeply yourself. Think of the artists who move you most. They're probably not the most technically perfect ones, but those who transmit something honest through their work. There's an emotional truth that transcends technique. You feel like you're meeting the real person behind the creation. Rubin has worked with wildly different artists, from rap to country, from rock to pop. But his most memorable projects all share one quality. They sound like purer versions of the artist. Not more perfect, more true. He says his role isn't to add things, but to remove everything that's not essential. Like a sculptor who sees the statue inside the marble and simply chips away what doesn't belong. The work of art is already there, he just reveals what was always present. You also have a work of art inside you. Not a work you need to create, but an expression you need to reveal. It doesn't have to be grand or world-renowned. It has to be genuine. It has to be yours. That expression might be silent. It might be in the way you look at people, how you touch things, how you move through space. It might be the quality of your presence, the energy you emit when you're being authentically yourself. And there's something you need to know. The world is waiting for your genuine expression, Not a better version of you, not a copy of someone you admire, but the thing only you can offer. Your unique perspective, your particular way of seeing, your way of feeling and interpreting life. These are irreplaceable. This is what the world loses when you choose to be someone you're not. No two people see the world in exactly the same way. No two people have the same combination of experiences, sensitivities, and insights. Your unique vision is a gift you can offer the world, but only if you have the courage to be genuinely yourself. Not everything needs to be said, but everything needs to be felt. And when you truly feel, when you allow your truth to emerge without filters, you become a gift to the world. Your creativity doesn't need to be validated by others to be real. It doesn't need to make money, earn fame, or win recognition. It only needs to be true for you. It needs to come from your center, from your authentic experience of being alive. There's a kind of exhaustion that sleep can't heal. But there's also a kind of rest that doesn't come from sleeping. It comes from stopping the performance, from no longer trying to be someone different from who you are. Throughout this journey, we've explored delicate and essential territory. We've looked at the weight of masks we carry, the silence that reveals us, the courage that sets us free. We've discovered that the deepest relief doesn't come from becoming better people, but from ceasing to be different people. This isn't an invitation to be perfect or to have all the answers. It's an invitation to be genuine, to be human, to be yourself, with all your contradictions, uncertainties, and mysteries. It's an invitation to discover that you are already enough, exactly as you are. Rick Rubin often says, "What blocks you can also guide you." Maybe this exhaustion you feel is your inner system saying, "Enough. It's time to stop performing. It's time to live." This fatigue isn't your flaw. It's your inner wisdom asking to be heard. It's your authenticity asking to be recognized. It's your soul asking to be lived, not performed. You don't need to fit in. You need to express yourself. You don't need to be extraordinary. You need to be truthful. You don't need to impress the world. You need to inhabit your own life with presence and honesty. There's a moment of grace that arises when you stop trying to be someone else. It's not dramatic or spectacular. It's subtle, like the relief of taking off tight clothes or placing your feet on the floor after a long day in heels. In that moment, you realize you've always been home. You've always been enough. You've always had the right to be exactly who you are. Now, if you want, close your eyes for a moment. Take a deep breath and allow yourself to feel the relief of not needing to be anyone other than who you already are. Feel the weight lifting from your shoulders. Feel the peace of not having to prove anything to anyone. In this moment, you are home. You are free. You are being yourself, and that is more than enough. That is perfect. You don't need to do anything with what was shared here. You don't need to apply techniques or follow steps. You simply need to remember. You have the right to be you. You have the right to take up space by being genuinely who you are. The world needs your authenticity. It needs your unique perspective. It needs what only you can offer when you stop trying to be someone else. Thank you for being here, for being you, for having the courage to stop performing. May you find the rest that comes from being genuine. May you find the peace of simply existing. May you find the freedom to be yourself.